Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the Batman Classic TV series action figure of Batgirl, made by Mattel. This was being sold exclusively at the San Diego Comic-Con by Entertainment Earth, but like a lot of the stuff that's been at Entertainment Earth by Mattel, I'm sure it will show up at Toys R Us in a few months, kind of like the Batmobile and other exclusives. Here's a look at the artwork and a little spiel on the back. This is the first time this figure has been produced. There have been, a couple versions of Batman and a couple versions of Joker, but I'm really excited they finally made a Batgirl, because growing up as a kid watching reruns of the show, I love Batgirl. One of the things that toy companies do that irritate me is when they feed the cape through the plastic packaging, but then the slit to get it out is so tight that you're probably going to start shredding the cloth, and this cloth is already pretty small and brittle, and the edges aren't smoothed over to begin with. So what I do to minimize the damage of this is I usually cut the package and create a much bigger hole to pull the cape out of. So you can see here that I've cut out a much larger hole in the plastic. So yeah, the cape came out of the packaging just fine. And speaking of the cape, I'm of two minds on this. On the one hand, I'm kind of irritated that the cape does not drape down. It doesn't hang the way it hangs on all other caped figures. On the other hand, I just think it looks really cool. This is a really cool looking cape effect. The way it flares out, it looks like it's a mid-action pose, and I think that's awesome. Now let's go for a closer look at the rest of her outfit, because I think they did a great job with it as far as the overall translating the figure to translating the costume to figure form. I can use words. There they are. The actual sculpt of her boots right there looks pretty good, as far as the little pointy parts right there by the right above her ankle, the lower shin part. I like the little pointed ears that are sculpted there. But her belt has a good sculpt and really solid paint, I think, as far as the kind of goldish, well, it is gold, the gold belt underneath, and then the yellow painted pockets and the bat symbol. Also, the bat symbol on her chest looks really good, and the sculpted lines going down her torso that are part of her costume. I'm glad they included those, because they could have just made it a smoothed over belly, and it, we would have been none the wiser, but it's a nice little detail. Also, the actual fabric that kind of comes around her neck looks good. It doesn't really match the cape, but what are you going to do? You can't make the whole cape plastic, although I think you should. And you can't make this part cloth, so you have to meet somewhere, and I think that little sculpted section and the wrinkling around her neck looks good. Her cowl looks great, and I especially think they did a great job with her ears. The ears look great. I think they did a good job painting her little eyelashes and her eyeballs. Her lips look good. The sculpt of her hair is decent. There's even a kind of a browner wash over the red, so that does highlight the hair a bit. And then the articulation on this is pretty good. You got the ball jointed hinge shoulder. You got a bicep cut, which is nice. You don't always get a bicep cut. You got the hinged elbow and the swiveling wrist, and the fabric right there on the little gauntlet looks good. You got a mid-torso cut right underneath her boobage area, and you've got the hinged legs that swing forward and back and go out side to side. Mid-thigh cut, knee joint, and then the hinging boot. All in all, I gotta say, I really dig this. It's as a Batgirl fan, I think they did a pretty more than decent job making the figure of it. Now, like all the other figures in the series, it comes with a little figure stand. But what's interesting is the other figures in this series, on the one side it has artwork that makes the Batcave, but this came out later, so obviously they can't just make it. So I'm fine with them making some different artwork, but at least on this side, all the other ones had this kind of painted design, and this doesn't match the artwork of the rest. I wish they'd gone with a look that was more consistent than this comic booky look. Don't get me wrong, I like comic books, but it doesn't match the artwork from all the other ones. But it does plug into the base right down there, like so. And there's a little figure stand that you could plop her little foot into, like that. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this figure, although I do think it's a bit simple looking. When Warner Bros. And Fox worked out their issues with the rights to Batman the TV series, and Mattel got the rights to make action figures, I had some pretty high hopes, and I thought, they're kind of simple looking. I think, if someone like NECA got them, they'd probably look a lot better. But I do think this figure looks pretty good. It's certainly consistent with the simplicity of the rest of the figures in this series, and in general, I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with it. Thanks for watching.